I lived in Chantilly, Virginia for several years.
Oh, wow.
Then moved to Texas and then moved back here. It's a long story. I won't bore you with it.
Holly, we still have a couple of people coming in. Maybe let's give it one more minute.
Okay, sounds great.
I see Paige and Ashley from GBB. Hello and welcome.
Yes, hello. This is Ashley from GBB, a solid waste management consultant supporting the team. Here with Paige Davis, also from GBB.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Paige. And I see Cheryl and Matt from the solid waste team.
Hey, good evening.
Hi, Matt.
What was that? You broke up just for a second.
That's my voice breaking
Good
up.
evening,
I
this is Cheryl
apologize.
Young.
Oh, that's okay.
Hello.
I said, this is Cheryl.
Go
All
ahead,
right, Rachel,
Cheryl.
Yes.
Do we think we're about ready to start, Rachel?
I think so, and I am monitoring to see as other people come in, and if others come in, I'll let them in.
All right. Well, let's get started then. So thank you all for joining us tonight to talk about the solid waste master plan that Orange County is in the process of developing with the goal of zero waste by 2045. I'm Holly Adams with River District Consulting, and with me tonight is my business partner, Rachel Del Campo Gatewood. If you haven't already heard her speak tonight, she's suffering from a little bit of laryngitis, so you'll have to bear with us on the discussion end as she's monitoring the chat, but we're going to work with it. Our part in this project is engaging the public to make sure the desires and needs of the residents of Orange County are included in the final master plan. So even though we are not solid waste experts, we do have the solid waste experts in the room with us. We have, as you may have heard earlier, Paige Davis and Ashley with us. Unfortunately, our project lead, Chris Lund, couldn't make it tonight. He's out of the country working with another client in Guam, so that didn't work out. But we also have Cheryl Young from your very own Orange County Solid Waste team in the room with us. So if any questions come up specific to solid waste that we're not able to answer, we do have the experts in the room here tonight.
And Holly, I believe we also have, in addition to Matt, I think Robert Williams is also on the line.
Oh, great. We have the whole team with us. We've got Matt
Right.
and Robert Williams. Great. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Well, our agenda tonight includes talking about what zero waste really means, the solid waste master plan goals. We want to introduce you to the online survey, and then we want to open it up for some discussion. It's been very clear to us from the beginning of this project that the county really wants to engage the community and they really want your feedback. So tonight is one of those opportunities for that feedback. So what does zero waste really mean? Well, zero waste is defined as the reduction of solid waste to nothing or as close to nothing as possible by minimizing excess consumption by means of responsible production, consumption, and reuse, and maximizing the recovery of solid waste through recycling and composting. Now I'm going to read this next one to you because I could not memorize all of this, but as approved by the Orange County Solid Waste Advisory Group, also known as SWAG, the overarching 8 goals for the plan and its development are as follows. Goal 1, we want to develop a comprehensive and easily understandable plan. Goal 2 is to develop a comprehensive strategy that will lead to zero waste as defined by the county by 2045. Goal 3 is to integrate the plan's efforts with the ongoing climate action plans of the county, the municipalities, the university, and the university healthcare system. Goal 4 is to select a sustainable business model that incorporates the financial, social, and environmental, including carbon footprint reduction impacts on our community. Goal 5 is to identify future programs, initiatives, facilities, and infrastructure to achieve the zero waste goal as defined by the county while ensuring the long-term financial stability of the county's solid waste and recycling program. Goal 6 is to identify strategies to increase public education and participation in waste reduction and waste diversion programs through awareness of reduction, reuse, recycling, and composting while addressing ordinance and enforcement requirements. Goal 7 is to develop and include an equitable and comprehensive public engagement process that effectively includes input by the general public, including groups that historically have been marginalized and key interest groups, including the municipal and university partners, and keeps the public informed and updated on the process. And lastly, Goal 8 is to ensure all proposed programs and policies are in regulatory compliance with local, state, and federal requirements. So those are the 8 goals of the Solid Waste Master Plan that the county is working on now. All right, and hopefully by now you've started to see this message in various places throughout the county. Before we leave this evening, we're going to ask each of you to take this survey by either using the QR code displayed here or on each of the next slides, or by going to orangecountync.gov/zero waste. That will take you directly to the survey. And it should only take about 10 minutes to take that survey, so not too long. The survey really is vital for the county to understand your needs and desires, so please take it yourself, share it with your friends and families and your other networks. Get the word out for the survey. All right, now I've talked at you enough, and we're going to take the next little bit and ask you a series of questions designed to spark discussion around how you're using the current system and what you hope to see in a future system. Rachel and Ellie from the River District team are here monitoring the chat and taking notes. And of course, Cheryl and the GBB team are here to answer as many questions as possible. So we're going to ask you a question, and then we'll pause and give everyone a moment to answer in the chat. Does everyone know where the chat feature is on their Zoom screen? It's kind of in the middle of the screen at the bottom. All right, if we don't have any questions, let's get started. Let's talk about recyclables. Do you separate items like bottles, cans, paper, and cardboard from the trash at home? Please answer in the chat with the word that best describes your routine. Always, often, sometimes, rarely, or never. I'll give you just a few minutes to answer there.
I'm not seeing the place where I can answer the questions.
If you look at the very bottom of your screen there, there's a little black bar. It starts with mute, stop video, and then there are some other options. Chat should be kind of in the middle on the very
I
bottom.
am seeing anything like that.
You might have to move your mouse over it to make the little bar pop up at the bottom.
Well, I'm on my tablet. Will that work? Is the tablet going to work?
You might see on the right, there's an icon that says more with 3 dots. Do you see that?
Oh,
You can
okay.
tap that, and chat is under there.
Okay, more. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, always.
Perfect, thank you. So Holly, I'm seeing just about everyone has always. I think there's one often and one never. So we have a group of recyclers here in the room, which is wonderful.
Absolutely.
The person who said never, would you like to share with us the reason why? Is it available for you? Do you have concerns? Or anyone else who does not have the ability or interest at this point in doing this type of recycling? Anything that you would like to share with us?
I have the ability to do recycling. I'm the one who answered often. And the reason that I said often is because it is not always clear to me what the current status is on various types of plastics. So if I'm not sure, then I default to trash because I know that often something that gets in there that is, not recyclable can throw off the works. It's not always clear if like clamshell plastics and these sorts of things are accepted in there. The unknowns are what caused me to say often.
Great. Thank you, Carolyn, for that feedback.
Hi, I answered never and I misunderstood the question. I was distracted, I think, with the kids and doing dishes and everything. But I don't I separate all of the recyclables from the trash, but everything goes together in the one bin.
Very
Gotcha.
good.
Thank you, Jenny.
you.
And thank you for joining us while you're doing dinner and the kids and all of that. We really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having this.
But that never is actually an always.
Yeah.
All right, Holly, I think you can move on to the next.
All right. Okay, now let's talk about yard waste. Do you separate yard materials like grass clippings, leaves, branches, and twigs from the trash at home? And again, please answer how often in the chat. Always, often, sometimes, rarely, or never. Rachel, what are you seeing in the
Yes.
chat?
I am seeing lots of always and folks who compost these items. I do see that someone had an issue when filling out the online survey, not applicable because I don't have a yard. And someone else said, we have no yard waste or yard waste pickup in the county, but we don't produce any yard waste. And then I'm like, actually, always, I live in the woods. So I throw the yard waste in the woods. And we leave our leaves or compost to vegetable matter. And I have a lot of woods to put leaves and branches in. So again, we have a number of people who are really taking care of their yard waste. No one is putting it in the trash, and we appreciate that. Does anyone have any comments they'd like to share with Orange County about your yard waste and your ability to compost, et cetera? All right. We thank you all for your good work on this.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one.
Okay, let's talk about what's usually a hot topic, which is food waste. So do you separate your organic based items like spoiled fruits and vegetables from the trash at home? Again, type into the chat, always, often, sometimes, rarely, or never.
Right, again, we're getting a lot of always. I compost. I have a composting service. There's one rarely, several oftens. Only plant matter, always. No leftovers, etc. I would like to be able to have this composted. So I think the next slide will kind of answer that. Let's see. Most goes in the compost in the yard. Always, often compost at home. But could collect more items that would be compostable at the drop-off versus at home. And mostly I love composting service, the composting service at the Eubanks Road drop-off.
All right, we've got another question or a couple of questions here about composting. So continuing with that discussion, have you ever visited one of the county's 5 community drop-off locations for residential food waste? And just please answer again, always, often, sometimes, rarely, or never.
Hi, Holly. This is Ashley from GBB. Rachel's voice, she's in a little bit of pain. So allow me to step in to at least provide a review of the comments.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, you're welcome. Of course. When she obviously
Thank
needs to
you.
save some of her points. Yeah, so primarily we're seeing several nevers. Actually, it looks like mostly nevers. One often, pardon, 2. So we have 1 rarely, 2 rarelies, 1 often, and several always. Never, I don't live in Orange County. And several more always and nevers. Never, I compost. Says I wrote never, but it's always it's a recent development. I used to only use these facilities when I did compost. The free bins weren't to my liking, and I haven't gotten a better one yet. Yes, sometimes if a large church event. Never, I work, but I do not live in the county. Only for large amounts of cooking oil, which is hard to dispose of otherwise. That's the truth.
Mhm. All right, so if curbside food waste collection were available at your residence, would you use it? And you can type yes or no into the chat this time.
Ooh, lots and lots of yeses. 1 no. A yes with about 7 exclamation points. Yes, absolutely. Yes, yes, probably not. Yes, yes, yes. You don't use curbside recycling, just drop trash at the convenience center. So it looks like majority yeses. Did you want to dig into any of the nevers or nos?
Yeah, if anyone would like to share that put never or rarely, we'd love to hear, or the no's.
I'm one of the nevers for the drop off. It's just not convenient. I would absolutely collect all compostable matter, paper products, leftover food, bones, like all of these things that can be commercially composted, but it's gross after a while, and I just cannot get to the facility to drop it off in a convenient way, and I don't have a better way to manage it. So all plant matter goes in my backyard compost bin, fruits and veggie trimmings, etc. But any paper products or leftover food that is not just raw fruits and veggies goes to the trash. And I wish it didn't have to. I'm the one with 7 exclamation points.
Gotcha. Thank you, Carolyn. That was great feedback. Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else like to share more about what they responded?
Well, it looks like there's a question as well as to whether curbside collection would include compostable paper products too. And most likely certified compostable paper products are acceptable in most commercial collection bins. This is Cheryl, by the way.
Thank you, Cheryl. Does anyone else have anything else to say about food waste before we move on to the next slide?
There
There is an-
is,
Go ahead.
sorry. There is one comment here saying, I think it might be important to know if these answers correlate to having trash pickup or not. We do not have trash collection, so we're taking trash to the drop-off sites already. So therefore, they take their non-backyard compostables because they're already going there. So I think that is a legitimate point, and certainly as the county considers what the future looks like, these are all things sort of in play. So it's good to have the feedback that GBB can then share with the county when they're making recommendations for the future.
Indeed.
All right, well, let's move on. So thinking about the county's current system, which service is most important to you? Now, we recognize that all of these things are important to you, but please try to choose the one that is most important, the one that you can't live without. Your choices are number 1, waste and recycling centers. Number 2, multifamily buildings recycling. Number 3, business recycling collection. Number 4, curbside recycling. And number 5, food waste recycling. Please just type the number that corresponds to your answer in the chat.
Seems 4 is the most popular. Then we have 2 and 1, but 4 for the community, but 1 for the individual personally. It looks like 4 is overall the most common answer.
Not surprising that that curbside recycling is well loved.
Mhm.
Would anyone like to share why they answered the way they did? All right, we'll move on to thinking about the future system. So we want to set this up as kind of an open-ended question. What is the most important system improvement that you would like to see in the future? Answer with anything that you feel is vital to the future of the program. It could be ease of use, or I really want curbside food collection, or maybe it's just we need to improve education and outreach to reach our goals. Please just share with us your thoughts. You may type it into the chat, or at this point, you can just unmute and share out loud.
I'm going to share out loud because typing on my phone as I'm trying to get dinner ready is too hard.
Please.
I was the one who commented about food waste pickup and other compostable materials at the curb. That would be huge. As well as I would love to see the county get involved in some sort of circular economy reuse packaging situation. There's a really good example. I don't know if you all know of Don't Waste Durham, which is a nonprofit in Durham, North Carolina. They've started a while ago the Green to Go program, where they supply local restaurants with reusable takeout boxes to replace the styrofoam ones that we're all used to seeing. They have a subscription program for people, customers in the community who would like to join that and have all of their takeout food from these restaurants packaged in these reusable packaging. You can then drop it off at the restaurants or other boxes around town, and Don't Waste Durham picks it up, takes it to a commercial facility, washes, sanitizes, and returns it to the restaurants. So if we could have that in the county or in town of Chapel Hill or Carborough or Hillsborough or whichever entity could facilitate that, I think that would be wonderful, as well as the same sort of thing in the public schools. So Orange County schools and Chapel Hill Carborough schools could also use, instead of any disposable single-use items in their cafeteria, they should all have wash facilities and have reusable trays, cutlery, cups, this sort of thing.
Great,
Thanks.
thank you.
There are some comments coming in via the chat. Food waste collection, as so much more can be composted. Quicker lookup of what can be recycled, especially plastics. Cheryl, do you want to put a plug in here for the Recollect app?
Actually, yes. In terms of looking up what can be recycled, and I'm the first to admit that this is a work in progress. The county had developed a new app that it can be downloaded on the Apple Store or on Google Play at no cost, called Orange County NC Recycles. That includes our A to Z guide, improved A to Z guide, because you can actually put in the item you're interested in, and what you can do with that item will pop up. It is a work in progress. We're still, and would encourage people, as they find things they'd like to know about, to send us an email so we can add those or add the words that will kick it up for you. But I would encourage everyone to download it. It has information on the schedules for the waste and recycling centers, as well as your calendar for your collection. And you can set up to get reminders of what day your recycling is being collected, and will include pushed out notices when the collection schedule is changed due to weather or due to holidays, which I know can be very confusing for people. So Orange County NC Recycles is how you have to find it. And we would love to see a lot of people download the app and then let us know what you think about it.
That's right, Cheryl. And I put into the chat window, if you search for a comment by Ashley Smith, the specific name that you can enter into the App Store. So for instance, I think it's Google Play or Apple Store. On any mobile device, you could find the app. Let's see, another comment would be here, green to go. Jen echoes that. Outreach to teach more people what can be recycled. I live in a complex and neighbors try to recycle things like paper coffee cups, which are used. Another one, have plastic recycling include clean frozen dinner trays and coffee maker K-cups. Those are two very interesting waste streams with their inherent challenges for sure, but there is some progress. I want to see us reduce the use of plastic, ban clamshells, etc. Curbside pickup of compostables and large cardboard boxes. Let's see, more education on alternatives to disposables such as plastic. I would like to see the county reduce overall the use of styrofoam, plastic bags, and other problematic items to reduce the flow of quote unquote recyclable materials into the greater system. Ultimately, this is a utopian vision. We would have a single garbage and recycling stream that would be sorted, reclaimed, mined as a last resort recycle. This would get around human error challenges of recycling, and there may be more uses for more material that is currently buried. Love any way to make recycling and reducing easier for the public. I wish meat and other things didn't come on plastic trays that I can't recycle. Amen to that. Yes, exclamation point. I have coffee cups and I just hate throwing them away. And then another, can we ban single-use plastic bags? Nancy's happy with the app. I use it and have found it very helpful. Agree with the person who was speaking. I would like to see schools and medical facilities stop using so much disposable material. And schools teach youth to avoid single-use plastics. Maybe it will trickle up to parents. Someone asked, how do we provide feedback on the app? Cheryl, would you like to answer that?
Well, there's two ways. One, the app has a place where you can send us notices. Also, you can email us at recycling@orangecountync.gov. Either way will get us the information for us to make those improvements, because it's going to take community input to help us catch every place we can do better.
That's right. That's right. There's a comment that says recycling is a failure nationwide. Despite what we may do, much less than 10% gets recycled. Because glass is closer to 10%, we take our glass to the county site or behind Home Depot. We have got to focus on reducing rather than recycling. I'd love to hear more about this. And then the last comment I see here is, I also have a great concern about the massive amount of horrible junk that goes into the waste deposit centers, especially old electronics like TVs, computers. They're piling up on Earth, exclamation point. That's all the comments for now.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to share with us? It doesn't necessarily have to be on the future, but thoughts or ideas you have that you'd like to share with the county. Now is the time you can just unmute and share with us your thoughts.
I don't mind chiming in just briefly. I'm the one that wrote about the dismal actual recycling rate. And ever since the county stopped taking clamshell plastic that you used to take, the number one, I've just been paying a lot more attention than I used to, because I thought that at least some of it got recycled. I don't know, I just find the whole plastic scene extremely saddening and not very hopeful. So I'm hoping that I'd love to see like us work with grocery stores on what they, put out. I actually communicate with, for example, the people the Driscoll people that sell strawberries and other kinds of berries, and ask them what they could do. And they gave me a thoughtful response, but they're not going to change from the clamshells. I've seen some strawberries and cardboard. I would pay more money for that. I would hope Weaver Street or whoever would go that route. I don't know how to make that happen.
Thank you, Susan. Other thoughts?
There are a few more comments that have come in. Someone says, I would like old clothes recycling, not reusing, but rags.
May I speak to that for a second, Ashley? Because I think there's been some confusion. This is Cheryl Young. There are collections at Eubanks Road that is for old clothes, and actually any old clothes that are beyond reuse, they actually are being sold by that company for rag value. And although I know that that is not a nonprofit company, they actually pay the county for all the materials collected in those clothing and textiles. And that money is distributed to local nonprofits. It is not kept by the county. It goes to the nonprofits that otherwise might be able to utilize some of that clothing. So just because something is torn and you think it's not usable, it gets turned into rags. So that is still a viable option for you to put old textiles in.
Walnut
I'm
Groves
okay.
has a clothing drop-off container too.
Yes, Walnut, it's at Walnut Grove and Eubanks. Excuse me for not including, and it's the same thing. So just because it's torn, as long as it's clean, it can go in there and it generates funds for our local nonprofits. And we get the rag value for those.
What a great system. Thank you, Cheryl. Ashley, were there some other comments?
Yes, actually, there are some good ones. Could the county provide incentives to local businesses to use more recyclable or biodegradable takeout containers? If someone can make a profit by keeping things out of the landfill, I'm happy to help them with that business. Exclamation point and a smiley face emoticon. Community Works, well, that's with an X at the end, in Carborough, also takes non-usable textiles. I think they sell them for use. They call it Gris, after the name of someone who used to volunteer there when it was the PTA thrift shop.
Interesting. Speaking of the takeout cartons, I would hope that we could do something about the bad chemicals in those and other things as well, the PFOA and the PFAS that is contaminating our bodies and our water.
Yes, PFAS and PFOS is a topic of great concern to the recycling industry indeed.
Was that it for our comments, Ashley?
That seems to be it for now.
All right, well, if we don't have any more comments, if anyone would like to share and unmute, now's the time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey there. So I guess first off, thanks everyone. All your comments are great. I could just echo all of them, but that'd be kind of redundant, I think. But I definitely agree with a lot of the user error, I guess, observations that people are talking about. And so for me, if I know what is, like, not just what is being recycled, but what the result of the recycling turns into, then I'm kind of more interested into like continuing to do it. I obviously like do already recycle, but what do our recyclables turn into at the end of the day? I mean, is it just like other glass bottles, or because that's one thing I think that's anyone here, I think everyone here at least is doing it because they kind of have done some sort of research. They know it's going to have some sort of impact, so they do it. Obviously, that's, you know, there's limitations to that. Information doesn't always lead to behavior change, but what does, I guess, to shorten everything, what do our recyclables turn into at the end of the day at Orange County specifically?
If I may, this is Cheryl. And I would like to ask a question first. We mailed out in August a Waste Matters newsletter that actually talked about where does your recycling go. I don't know if everyone received that. If not, if they want to send me an email, we'll be happy to mail you a copy of it. But we're in a unique place where there are a lot of companies in this state that actually are taking plastics and making them into other materials. There's a company in Reidsville, North Carolina, that processes #1 PET plastics and creates fibers to make products including jeans and car seats and outerwear. And so it's there's another company that takes #2 HDP plastics, and they sort them, and they're creating additional flexible plastic, recreating additional plastic packaging for food and beverages, as well as plastic bottles and containers. So we are in a unique place where our materials actually, a lot of them do get bought by local companies and reused. Just to give a little bit more information, the way that our materials recycling facility works is they sort the materials, and they are taking the materials that are viable, and they actually sell those. and the county, it participates on a percentage basis with getting money back for those materials, which helps offset the cost of recycling. So they have an interest in us getting good materials and finding markets for those materials because they share in the profits from those. That seems to be the best way to keep everybody involved, engaged, and interested in finding those markets. And again, we are fortunate that in this state, we have several places that actually utilize those materials, if that helps any.
Oh, I think that all sounds outstanding. Yeah, I definitely would like to see that if you want to send me an email to that, because I don't know, I just think on one hand, I think like outreach to people could change minds, but then I see some other comments in the thread, and I also agree that, like, you know, banning plastic bags might have an effect, or, you know, some of the other ideas are pretty good too. But I'm kind of stuck between believing that outreach can have a huge effect, and or if some other sort of policy could be better. But that's good to know that at least we're doing something good with it. I think that's at least useful if outreach were to be done in terms of you know, support small business, support local business kind of a thing. I mean, that might change some behaviors. I'm not sure how effective, but just an idea.
And actually, if you'll look in the chat, Carolyn Hostler has posted a link on the website to our website that discusses where the recycling from Orange County goes.
Excellent, thank you.
And for anyone who's interested, we've looked at that, the newsletter that Orange County Solid Waste produces, and it is full of good information. It is voluminous in content. So really would like for you guys to pick it up if you can, and if you're interested. All right, well, if we don't have any other comments tonight, we just want to share with you our upcoming public meeting schedule. You see that on the screen here. We will be at the Chapel Hill Library in Meeting Room B on Wednesday night this week at 6:30. And our next two public meetings will be December 5th. One will be at 10 a.m. and one will be at 7 p.m. I'm sorry. We'll start out at the Bonnie B. Davis Environment and Agricultural Center and finish off at Carrboro Town Hall. So if you know anyone who would like to join us, there will be translators on site in Chapel Hill and Carrboro. We'd love to have you join us. Also, we want to remind you to please take the survey. It is very important. You can use that QR code on your screen right there, or you can visit the website at orangecountync.gov/zero-waste. Rachel, did I miss anything?
Oh, a couple of other questions have come in.
Oh, great.
That I will read, but first I wanted to ask, Ashley just reminded me, how many of you here on the Zoom tonight saw us at the farmers markets on Saturday? We were all spread around Hillsborough and Carrboro and Chapel Hill. Was anyone there? Doesn't look like it. Looks like we're reaching a new audience, which is wonderful. So the questions that I am seeing, Cheryl, I think this one is to you. Does the recycling program have a need for volunteers?
We are always in need of volunteers. We are running so many different programs and trying to improve our system. Anyone interested in volunteering, again, if you want to email recycling@orangecountync.gov, which I'm going to put in the chat right now. We would love to have your involvement and your help.
Wonderful, thank you. I thought that was probably the answer. And Carolyn asked if the other public meetings will have the same content as this one. And Carolyn, yes, on our end, it will be basically the same content. Now, of course, there will be different people in the room, so we may hear different opinions and learn some new things. But yes, all 4 public meetings have essentially the same agenda or program, if you will.
And if I can just add, we would appreciate you spreading the word about those meetings, particularly for The one, the 16th, there will be a Mandarin translator present. And on the 5th, at Carver, there will be Burmese and Spanish translators present as well, which I think is another way we want to make certain we're reaching more of the community.
All right, Rachel, is there more?
I think that is everything. Hopefully everyone has the email address that Cheryl has shared. If you have other thoughts, and of course you can always reach out to zerowaste@orangecounty.nc.gov as other thoughts come up. And please, please, please scan this QR code or jot down this URL and take the survey. We really appreciate your input.
And share it with your friends and family, please.
Yes.
All right, well, I think that concludes our session if no one else has anything. So thank you all for joining us this evening. We really appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night, all.
Cheryl.